if I can. I've got no money because I'm an invalid pensioner, but I'm going to try and get legal advice, and I'm going to sue the Newcastle Hospital. Not for money for myself, because that won't bring me boy back. But I'll do something.
Have the police contacted you at all about this matter?
Yeah.
And what will be a coroner's inquest too?
Yes. My son had to go in this morning and identify.
Have you had any offers yet of help to help you launch this inquiry?
No. No, we don't know who to turn to. Because people read things in the paper, and it's not their kids, and they think, oh, I'm sorry, this is a bad case, and next day it's forgotten. Oh, I've done it myself. But now it's come to my own door, I just don't know what to say. I took him in there, and there was one doctor took me in, and he said to these other two doctors, a lady doctor and a young man doctor, this boy is drinking something we suspect is poison. And they got up and they got some books out and a sheaf of pamphlets, and they were asking each other, what do you reckon to do for poison? And the lady doctor said, I've never done this, I don't know nothing about poison. And the sister walked in and she said, oh, I think if you give him milk to drink.
And how much milk did they give the boy?
Well, he'd been vomiting all the way in the car, and they forced 5 glasses of milk down his throat. And he brought it back up. Then one of them, I'm not sure was the doctor or the sister, said, well, we'll give him half a cup of vinegar. And they made him drink the vinegar. And the doctors never took his pulse, they never took his temperature, they never even put the hand on the boy. So I was holding him there and the sweat was pouring out of him, and he said to me, he said, Dad, I want to use the pot. So the nurse handed me the pot, and I lifted my son onto it, and when he finished I emptied the pot and washed it out, and then a couple of minutes after he wanted to do it again, and I got the pot myself and put him on it.
The hospital staff didn't want to see what was in the pot, like take the samples from the pot at all?
No. There was a dark doctor come in, a dark complexion doctor come in, and he said this boy should be sent straight up to intensive care out of here.
And how long was he in the casualty before this other doctor came in?
The one said to send him upstairs, I'd say 20 minutes, and he went away, and I'm waiting thinking they're getting the bed ready, and then this other sister come on duty, and she said, what is this boy doing here? What's going on? And the lady doctor's behind the curtain, she said, oh, is he still there? I thought he was, they took him upstairs. And the sister said, which ward is he to go into? And the lady doctor said, oh, ring up 4 and put him up there. They'll have a bed there in the children's ward, not the intensive care ward. So they took him up there, and this, I think he's an Indian doctor, came up, and he was the only one, in my opinion, that really tried to do anything for the boy. He got told the nurses to get all this stuff ready, and he pushed the thing into Jeffrey's hand. He didn't give an anaesthetic or nothing, he was in that big of a hurry. And he said, turn this bottle on full until it's half empty to get the stuff into him. And he was called away. But before he went, he said, I want the vomit that was left in the bowl, he said, I want that sent away immediately to the pathology to have it analysed. And Jeffrey seemed to improve, and I said to him, do you want me to go and get Mum? He said yes. So I got Mum and we went back in, and he was all right. He said he wasn't in pain, and this stuff was still there, and the bottle. And I said to the sister, I said, why hasn't that been analysed? She said, oh, we'll get around to that. I said, but that should have been done 2 hours ago. She said, look, we know what we're doing, we'll get around to it. I said, well, if you don't hurry up and shift, I said, I'm going to get my boy transferred to another hospital. So she called this doctor up, and I believe it was the same doctor that was downstairs that did nothing. He came up, and he was saying once they get poisoned, 5 seconds after, you can't do nothing. You've got to let it take its course and treat the symptoms as they come. And he said the boy vomited, and he said he's quite all right. And I said, can you assure me that my son's going to be okay? And he said, yes, I can. So he said, even if we wanted to have it analysed, he said the government won't allow you to do it without their permission. And he said there's nowhere in Newcastle and there's no facilities to have it done. So we said to Jeff, after he went, we said, do you want us to stay with your son, or do you want to have a sleep? And he said, oh, I don't care, Dad. So we come home, 10:30, Lou rang the hospital.
That's your wife, is it?
Yeah. And she said, how is Jeffrey? And they said, we've just given him a needle to stop him reaching. This is 10 o'clock, and he'd been reaching from 2 o'clock. And he's as well as can be expected. But they said, we want you to come in to see a doctor. We went straight in, and the sisters come to the door, and they said, we're sorry that your son took a bad turn, and the doctors are working on him. And then this doctor that said he was going to be all right, the one that did nothing, he came out and had the heart to tell me, he said, I'm sorry, your son is gone.
Well, how have the people in the street been managing for such things as cooking and washing?
They haven't. Many people have had to go out. In our own case, for example, we have 6 children and we've had to buy meals and in order to save on washing up water.
Now, I believe you sent a telegram to the Premier. What have you said in this?
At 9 o'clock this morning, when we realised that the situation with the unions was such that negotiations had broken down, that the Water Board just wasn't getting anywhere, and the unions themselves weren't getting anywhere either. When we realised this, we sent a telegram this morning concerning the shortage of water and our desperate state here in Perina Place. At this point in time, late this afternoon, we haven't had a reply from the Premier. Now, we're not being critical of the Premier, but we will await a reply. Maybe that reply will come tomorrow.
Well, how do the people in the street feel towards the union now for the strike?
I think the people in the street, all being members of some union, there's not one house which hasn't got a union member in it, and some houses have more than one. I think the people feel that the union has just gone too far, that now there is almost a state of lawlessness.
And tonight, on a cold winter's night, all that we're asking you to do is come to the City Hall and register your protest against the taking over of Newcastle's one remaining green belt. And our City Aldermen, in that massive building of stone over there, they've sat in deliberation and said they'll sell 200 lots. They will be on trial tonight, and the people who will judge them and be the jury will be you and I and the people of Newcastle. Now, don't let us let this situation go without some challenge. Unless we do, you're going to lose one of your heritage. If you want to go to the zoo, you've got to go to Sydney. Out in Blackbat Reserve, they have a beautiful selection of birds, all wild birds. Kangaroos, they've got emus, they've got swans, ducks, every Australian bird life that you wish to see, right here within arm's length of this city.